Vanessa has had sparks with someone else this season.
Vanessa has had sparks with someone other than Dan and other than Nate. No. Because she's not going, no. Well, maybe.
Hey, Upper East Siders and all you scandal-loving listeners out there. You just tuned into the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, where the coffee is strong, the waffles are fresh, and the gossip is hotter than ever. My name is Leif, and I'm your seasoned Gossip Girl veteran.
And I'm Steve, the greenhorn, the newbie, I don't know, Leif, what do we call the season 2 newbie in Gossip Girl terms?
I don't know, but do you know how exhausting it is to be me? All the work, the planning.
I mean, I can only imagine. I feel like in this case, I'm more the Serena.
Yep, probably.
So here's the deal, folks. Leif has been watching since this show first aired in 2007, and I'm diving in for the first time. And together, we're your dynamic duo, bringing you all the drama, romance, and sometimes questionable fashion choices of this iconic 2007 series.
That's right. Each week, we're taking a deep dive into the show, one episode at a time. We'll analyze all the hidden parallels and obscure references, and along the way, we'll take a look at some stories from fandom and some behind-the-scenes gossip.
And since we're all about inclusivity here at the Non-Judging Breakfast Pod, there's always room for you at the Non-Judging Breakfast table. So go ahead and grab a cup of coffee or a mimosa, maybe some of Chuck's special medicine, and come join us. And let's get into this.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. It is January 6th when this episode will be coming out.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Thank you for listening.
Hopefully everyone had a good holidays, whatever you particularly celebrate.
Yes. Enjoyed time with the family if you want to be around your family. And time alone if you had nice time alone.
Yes. And I actually read a Reddit post about that recently where a person was like, they were like traumatized by their parents for Christmas because they always had to do this like some stupid thing with family. This is the first year that their mom was dead, and like they're so happy they could just be alone on Christmas.
Jesus. Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, because I'm sure we all have those like traumatic Christmas things. Like my dad would often be very like, this is the image I have in my head of how this is going to go when the kids come down. And so when we'd be excited to like come down and like open presents, my dad would often be like, no, you wait. And like, if we came down early, he'd get so mad. Or if we didn't have enough excitement at something we opened, he'd get really mad, which I know I kind of did to my kids when they were really young, out of that same.
Yeah, I probably fact checked on this, but I've always heard that it, at least in the U.S., is the highest rate of suicide in any month of the year.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I would believe that. In fact, I would think, December, I think makes a lot of sense. Yeah, if you or someone you know is struggling with depression, please get help. Yes. And I know we that might sound like some levity, but we do, like, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. If you're struggling, even just talk to us, reach out.
Yeah.
We're happy to listen.
Yeah, very much.
Or just talk to someone.
Yeah, like we were saying, like this could be a very fun time for people. If it wasn't, please, reach out to a professional and find someone to talk to.
On a more positive note, we are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 19 of Gossip Girl, titled The Grandfather.
The Grandfather.
Originally released on March 23rd of 2009, and of course the title is based on The Godfather.
Right. Which Robin only recently has seen for the first time. We recently watched The Godfather Part 1 and 2, and when they make the Corleone reference in this, Robin was like, oh, I get this now.
Now read the book.
Oh, I read the book. I actually read the book before I saw the movie.
Have her read it.
What's that?
Have her read it.
Yeah. I should. Because the book is, it was an amazing read. I tore through that because I was always I would either read nothing or tear through a book in like 2 days.
I actually like his other book too. It's Mario Puzo's Silmarillion, basically, is The Family, which is based on the Borgias.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He spent like his whole life working on that. It was like I think this last book he published.
Oh, no kidding. Because I know there's other Godfather books too.
Yes.
I know there's The Last Don.
Yeah.
And is there a Godfather Part 2 book? Because I know the movie mirrors the first book mostly.
Yeah. And then the movie splits off completely. The Last Don is not even I don't even think he has 2 other gangster mafia books, but they're not the Corleones.
Okay.
They're other families.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Part 2 is half original story and half Godfather Part 1.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So this episode was written by Robert Hull, who previously did The X-Files and A Wonderful Lie, and co-written by Etan Frankel, previously co-wrote on There Might Be Blood.
Okay. Yeah, the writing on this one had good moments, and it had...
Yeah, it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it really was. Which is funny, having co-writers, they don't do that often, and I can only imagine that when they do that, it is because there is specific things that each contributed that they wanted credit for, which tells me that one of these guys is probably much better than the other.
Or one person wrote the script originally, the room didn't like it, and someone else was coming to give it a brush up.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense too, yeah.
Episode directed by J. Miller Tobin. Previously did Poison Ivy, The Blair Bitch Project, Summer Kind of Wonderful.
Poison Ivy, to date, may be my favorite episode. I mean, Poison Ivy was a fantastic episode.
Yes. It's the only episode we both gave A+ to.
Is it really? That's funny.
Why don't you go ahead and read the Vulture recap?
All right. Unlike the Vanderbilts, Daily Intel will leave behind no oil portraits, ancestors, or presidential seals. Our recaps of Gossip Girl are our legacy. We've devoted many evenings of our lives to studying the facets of its characters, and through it all, we've seen many of them struggle to choose whether to act like their better or worse selves. Chuck, the wayward billionaire's son, is a brash, bitter pervert with a tender soul. Serena vacillates between purposeful and accidental sluttiness. Her mother, Lily, is like a human coconut with 2 hard shells that once cracked reveal a sweet, milky center. And then there's Blair. This episode, it was her turn to have an identity crisis. Early on, she declared the old Blair dead. It was time for the rise of the new Blair. But then a funny thing happened. The new Blair was pretty much exactly the same as the old Blair. She lounged around in lingerie, freaked out about not getting into Yale. She drank too much and acted like a total B. One of her one might take this as evidence that the character of Blair is less multifaceted than her Upper East Side comrades. But we think it's just the opposite. Her character is like the Hope Diamond, unbreakable and precious.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Sums it up.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and get into the episode. Act 1 begins. There's some shots of Central Park covered in snow, and we get a Gossip Girl narration. Springtime on the Upper East Side, where the winter chill is supposed to be so last season. But when mittens and scarves are all the rage, the best thing you can do is just button up and hope for warmer days.
I did from the start when I saw this pair come on screen. I was like, oh no. And I'll talk more about it after you give the...
Dan and Vanessa are walking down the street in the snow. They discussed Vanessa backpacking with Nate in Europe this summer. Then they meet up with Nate and his cousin Trip, who is encouraging Nate to reconnect with the grandfather. Nate wants no part of it as he explains they cut off Nate and his mom when his father got busted.
It's coming. Dan and Vanessa, I felt... when I saw them together walking and talking, there was something in me that was like, Oh no, like they're getting paired up right away in the beginning, and I felt in my soul that there was a foreshadowing happening there, and I'll talk more on it later. But I was like, oh, gross.
I didn't really see it as different as any other episode when they were together.
I don't know what it was, right? There was something in the two of them. They don't open a lot of scene episodes together. It was having the two of them paired up, talking about her backpacking trip with Nate, that I just was like, I just felt something in my gut.
Okay. So you're the Broadway guy. Did you recognize the actor playing Trip?
I did not.
That is Aaron Trevette, who's apparently pretty popular on Broadway.
Oh, I was unaware. Yeah, I don't recognize the name.
Chuck enters Serena's room as he is concerned about Blair blowing him off. Serena lets Chuck know about Yale. Chuck ruins the moment by making a gross joke.
Yep. Chuck going through Serena's phone and then being a perv.
The days before passwords on phones.
Yeah.
Lily is meeting with art dealer Bex. Hey, I remember her. Much to Lily's surprise, Bex points out that Rufus probably remembers her too because they totally did it last season.
Yeah, I didn't realize that it ever actually got that far to an actual. I guess they're okay. Yeah, at the end of the one episode, they finally were like, okay, let's go out. Yeah. But like, they didn't. How much did you actually date Rufus? Like, how much did the two of them actually date? Because she was not with him the next episode. And she was in, I think, the next episode. She was in one shortly after.
They were together for a couple episodes. They were doing a little dating dance. And Purvis says in this episode that they dated a couple times.
Yeah. I guess the big thing. Right. But I guess the big thing is Bex being like, oh, man. Bex being like a fucking teenager about it is what really got me. And this plot line.
She wanted a reaction there.
Yeah.
She wanted a reaction.
Exactly. This plot line irked me because it was save it for the kids.
Yeah. Back at the townhouse, Nate has mastered the split screen, but Dan and Vanessa have come up with a plan to family trap Nate.
Yeah, why are you pushing this?
Well, they explain it.
They do. For one, Vanessa, who hates all of this stuff, right?
Does she, though?
Okay. Facts. And we're going to get to that later, right? Because I have a lot to say about Vanessa reminding us how much she sucks in this episode.
I actually didn't mind Vanessa in this episode.
I got really irritated with Vanessa because Vanessa, who always professes being poor and professes the slumming it in the Brooklyn, was very excited to be traveling Europe on her boyfriend's dime. So that's where I'm going to start with that. Okay. And I'm not, and you know, as somebody who has traveled on a friend's dime before, like, I'm not shaming that. I'm shaming I'm not necessarily shaming anything. I'm just pointing out that Vanessa has always spoken about how much she hates these, like, the people around more like around Dan and Nate.
Now, it is possible, and I could totally see Vanessa being the type of person that insist on, like, staying in hostels, and basically she's paying for her half of everything.
I could see that too. That's never mentioned.
Yeah.
And there is, like, other indication of
she always has a job, so she has to have some money.
I guess what I'm saying is that this trip probably wouldn't happen without Nate's money. Even if she's making contributions and things like that, it's probably not happening without Nate being able to have some luxury involved, or at least Nate providing certain aspects of it.
So I'm not even entirely convinced that Vanessa is all that poor either.
No, I think she's Humphrey poor. I think she's poorer than the Humphreys.
I don't even know that. she must be at least partially being supported by her parents to be able to live in New York City.
No, yeah. I'm considering the Humphreys are probably into a 1 to 5 mil range. That's kind of where I picture them to be. So I would picture Vanessa to be in the 1 to 3. When I'm saying poorer, I mean by a couple million.
I was actually talking about the Humphrey wealth on Reddit this week, saying how different the OC and Gossip Girl are, because the Humphreys probably have similar money to the Cohens in the OC.
And then the Cohens, so you're saying that they don't have they don't have Upper East Side money.
No.
They're
California rich.
Yeah. From what industry made them rich again?
Real estate.
Oh, how about that?
Lily comes to the gallery to chide Rufus for not telling her about Bex. Lily comes up with the idea that they should exchange lists at dinner. Rufus rightfully points out that this has disaster written all over it.
Yeah, grow up. Nobody.
You're in your 40s.
You're in your yeah. It's such a dumb plot line. I'm sure that this shit gets discussed. I know Robin and I talked about this kind of thing, but it's not a thing that impacted us.
So I think in Lily's case, she was just upset that someone that worked for her slept with her boyfriend.
Right. And I never got the impression that it was a secret Rufus kept. I felt like it was, we
went on a couple dates.
Yeah, we went on a couple dates, and
we fucked once.
We banged one out. So I've banged people. No one you'll see on MTV.
Nate arrives with Dan and Vanessa at the Vanderbilt compound by limo. However, the titular grandfather one-ups the limo by arriving via helicopter. Tripp reveals that the grandfather didn't actually ask for Nate to come.
Yeah. I get Nate's reaction to be like, oh, well, fuck this. Yeah. And this was also where I feel like where Vanessa and Dan would be more like, hey, man, yeah, that's kind of fucked up. But it's just a constant no, go toward your family. I just felt like it was pushing Nate. And maybe it's because I'm a guy that people keep telling me to talk to my dad. But
I totally, you're already there. It would be childish to just get up and leave now. At least just talk to him, see what happens.
Yeah, I get it. I just kind of felt Vanessa was very pushy for something that I think that maybe in the back of my head the whole time I was thinking, Vanessa, this is not going to work out for you in the long run. I felt like it was against Vanessa's best interest.
Yeah, it was pushy, but I think sometimes people need that.
That's fair.
And I think Nate needed it here.
And I was not mad. Oh, well, I guess we're not quite there yet.
And this is also the start of Dan being just witty all episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Dan, is that a medevac?
Yeah.
We must be close to a hospital.
You told me it was a mansion, not a country club.
And I feel like Penn was just having fun and improvising this whole episode.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's also the line about when he walks in and starts talking about universal health care and what topics do you think I should talk about?
The grandfather is at first surprised to see Nate. However, he quickly embraces Nate to the applause of the gathered family.
Yeah, I thought that was a sweet moment.
Yeah. Again, Dan's just looking around. Why is everyone clapping?
I think Dan was probably my favorite in a lot of ways in this episode. I think that
Looks like V is leading a lost lamb back to the flock, and C is coming to be sheepishly bearing gifts. Chuck arrives at Blair's to find her lounging in negligee. Carter nonchalantly walks up and kisses Blair. Chuck is totally rattled. Carter pushes Chuck further by revealing to Blair that Chuck had been pursuing a hooker while Blair's life went up in flames.
Fucking got him.
Got him. Yeah. And I will give Ed Westwick some props for the facial acting. He did really well at the facial acting in the scene.
Yeah, and didn't lose his accent when he came out of Batman voice. So, like, good job, Ed.
Yeah. And then before we go to commercial, we get another Gossip Girl narration. We hear Carter Bazin dealt Chuck another losing hand, but rest assured, Upper East Siders, Chuck always has a card up his sleeve. Act 2 begins. The grandfather is giving Nate, Dan, and Vanessa a tour of the mansion. After the grandfather tells Nate he is proud of him for how he handled the situation with his father, Tripp comes in and lets everyone know it's time for some quote-unquote touch football.
I had no problems with the grandfather in this. I don't think the grandfather did anything. He welcomed his grandson back and then tells him how proud he is. And he says the thing about, I was worried that you had your mom's looks and your dad's brains, but I'm really proud of you for handling that the way you did. That, you know, the grandfather was not just bailing them out. And I know Nate felt like he was abandoned and destitute, but he was abandoned and destitute in a mansion in the Hamptons. So I feel like there's a little bit of perspective for Nate of, we didn't abandon you. Your mom married a fucking idiot. So she has to live in this place because we're not bailing the idiot out. And I thought, I think that's fair. You know, nobody went hungry. Nobody starved.
Yeah.
And to be like, I'm really proud of how you handled that. I would be too.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, at this point,
I also don't think they could have bailed their house out because that was frozen by the assets were frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing they can really do about that.
Yeah.
But they did give them a freaking mansion in the Hamptons.
Yeah. They abandoned them with only a mansion that's probably fully staffed in the Hamptons.
Blair and Serena are shopping. Blair is explaining her new not planned plan and the Carter situation. Serena is scandalized when Blair walks out of the store without paying.
Yeah. Okay, Blair. Okay.
I like the coat, though.
Yeah.
Serena is so shocked, she calls Chuck to discuss the Carter and Blair relationship.
Yep. And they all have history with Carter, which we already know.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a fun team up.
Serena arrives home to find Lily making her list. In addition to Bart and Trent Reznor, the list also contains Slash. Serena advises to make an assessment of Rufus's list before revealing her whole list.
Serena was great here. The digs.
She was definitely funny, but Lily, why are you taking relationship advice from a teenager?
Yeah, why? Yes. Because it's a teenage plot line.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a good adult relationship line. I did love Serena's wittiness. Her one-liners were absolutely hilarious.
The techno-pop beats of MGMT drop as we see Nate and Dan roughing up on the football field. Very reminiscent of the football scene from Wedding Crashers when a lot of people were first introduced to Bradley Cooper.
Yep, I actually have Wedding Crashers written down here because that was exactly what I thought. Which came first?
I'm pretty sure Wedding Crashers. That was like 2001 or 2002.
Is that Bradley Cooper's debut?
It wasn't his debut, but it was his first like famous role.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Because I love that movie. That's one of those when it's on and I'm not doing anything else that it just stays on and I watch it. But also I feel like in this scene, V is starting to realize what it means to push Nate back to the family.
Yes, because as we see on a terrace overlooking the action, Vanessa and Tripp's fiancée Maureen have a conversation about joining the Vanderbilt family and what that means.
Yeah. Which you're laying on this 18-year-old, and it is that sense of...
Well, I don't think she's much older.
Yeah, no. I mean, I gathered that she was probably like 22.
Yeah.
I would figure that he had just...
They're law school age.
Yeah.
Or a trip.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would figure around 22, 23. I think it's more with Vanessa... I forget the fiance's name, but she lays out for Vanessa why it's good for her, though, too.
Yeah.
Like all of your advocacy and all of your... we love that.
Yeah.
We love that for Nate and for his future wife. So, yes, you are now welcome into this. I think that Vanessa realizes we can benefit from you being with Nate. And I think that is part of what gets her head turning. But really, Vanessa, she's right. You do have access to make all of these things that you want to do come true if you just postpone a trip.
But I mean, that's 17, 18. That's tough.
Yeah, it is. It is.
There's no patience then. Carter arrives at the Vanderwoods penthouse. Chuck stares in wonder while Serena blackmails Carter into leaving town based on something that happened in Santorini.
Yeah, I do love that Serena just kind of owns him. It's also just one of those... Well, it was sort of like Georgina Sparks getting rid of her, that it was halfway through an episode. Well, here's a vague reason that you should get out of here.
At least it is something that they did mention before.
Yeah, it did come back, and I did like that. I do like Serena having something on Carter. I also like Carter sort of thinks that he has something on Serena, but Serena kind of doesn't care about a lot of her past anymore now that the guy that she didn't kill by handing him cocaine is all out in the open.
Blair knocks on a strange door and enters as we go to commercial break with a Gossip Girl narration. Spotted, B taking one small step for new Blair, one giant step towards a strange townhouse. Enter at your own risk, B.
So how many in the forums thought that she was walking into the gentleman's club that Chuck had been at the previous 2 weeks?
Didn't see any mention of that, but I mean, it's not a live reaction thread, so it's...
Yeah. But I felt like that's what they wanted us to think. That's what that's what I thought. I felt like that it was...
I just kind of thought she was going to some party.
That's fair.
So back from commercial, Rufus and Lily exchange lists after dinner. Rufus's list is rather short, so Lily only gives one of the 2 pages she wrote. Even the shortened list gives Rufus pause.
This is on an index card.
Dan limps back to the loft with Vanessa in tow. Jenny and Dan tag team Vanessa into explaining the conversation with Maureen and how Vanessa is worried that the grandfather is going to control too much of their lives.
And she's maybe valid in her concern. However, Nate doesn't know who he is. And Nate has always been a puppy dog chasing after the new thing. And some structure could do him good. So if grandfather is going to help him find a path, I'm not angry about that. I feel like everything in this is coming up Nate right now, except for Vanessa not wanting that for him.
I know you're a Nate stan, but this is just more of Nate being a flip-floppy hypocrite, because all first season he was telling everyone how much he didn't want his family to control what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I feel like he didn't want his dad controlling what he was doing. You know, I feel like a lot of that was... But I'm not disagreeing with you either. Nate always does this. Nate always goes back and forth, and Nate always chases the big shiny thing that is dangling in front of him. I am a Nate stan. I do love Nate. I feel like Nate always tries to do the right thing. I think he usually tries to do the right thing, but when women get involved, he gets a little gray area and goes puppy dog chasing.
Chuck and Serena are begging Dorota to reveal where Blair is so they can help her. When Chuck offers money, Dorota curses at him in Polish.
Dorota is not for sale, Mr. Chuck.
Yeah. And yeah, I did actually look up the translation. It basically translated to, "Are you crazy, you little shit? I work for Miss Blair, not for you. What, do you think you can buy me?"
That's fantastic. But yeah, Dorota, not for sale. I love that. And I also loved, I love when Dorota was like, and she said, if Mr. Chuck comes by, to let him know that Carter Mason is much more attentive to a woman's needs.
Yes. Over dinner, Nate is reassuring Vanessa that nothing is going to change. Vanessa tells Nate that he should go meet Tripp and the grandfather. They have all summer to eat pierogies.
Yeah, she sends him out to go see the grandfather and talk to him about these things. Nate was all happy to sit here and hang out with you. You've sent him back with his family. So you've set this all in motion, Vanessa.
Again, she thought she was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. I feel like maybe she did do the right thing. It's just not the right thing for Vanessa.
I mean, she could have just gone along with it and gotten everything she wanted as well.
I mean, yeah.
Chuck and Serena arrive at the strange townhouse expecting some type of bacchanal, but instead find Blair begging for admittance into Sarah Lawrence. However, knowing about the hazing of Miss Carr, the dean turns her down.
Blair facing real consequences that are long-term and impactful is probably pretty jarring to her. She's obviously had other things that had consequences. Sleeping with Chuck and Nate, there were consequences, but they blew over.
They were social consequences.
They were social consequences that blew over.
This is a life consequence.
Right. Her eating disorder had consequences, and she struggles with it, but she still has the help and to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, you're not getting into college right now. Like right now, like nobody wants to take you. You're going to have to go to Upper East Side Community College.
Again, so this is one of the scenes that I didn't really like the writing on. Because why did he even agree to the meeting?
Yeah. I agreed to meet with you because I'm doing
in the middle of the night, so I can turn you down.
Yeah, so I can see the tears in your eyes myself.
Also, not that he doesn't deserve it, but Roman Polanski catching a stray from Chuck at the beginning of the scene. But yeah, that was like 30 at the time of this air. That was already over 30 years old. Of a joke. It's like,
yeah. Well, and again, there's a lot of times that you see not only in Gossip Girl, but just when you get those writers who are referencing things that are way outdated, and it's like there are new references you can make to these things. You don't need to keep making those old references. I see it in Buffy a lot. That like even though Buffy is from 30 years ago, they're making references from the episode The Zeppo we just watched. No one who wasn't like a film buff knew. Yeah, you had to know the Marx Brothers to know the Zeppo.
Oh, don't they explain it in the episode?
She just says you're the Zeppo. She just makes the reference. She doesn't explain who Zeppo is.
Okay. Chuck and Serena follow Blair outside, glad that she is still fighting. However, Blair is now more distraught than ever.
Yeah, she's cracking.
Mm-hmm. And we go to the act break with another Gossip Girl monologue. Poor Bee couldn't spin this one in her favor. Looks like now she's spinning out. We move into Act 3. Serena and Chuck find Blair at the Vanderbilt reception. Blair plans on blowing up her reputation and pissing off as many people as possible. She starts by dropping the Dan and Miss Carr sex bomb on Serena.
Yeah, that was rude. It was rude, but it was gonna come out eventually. And it's funny, we talked last week about who will she tell. and I love that when she told it, it was like, oh, I'm in my fuck it's phase, so here's some information. Yeah. I actually love how all of that, I love the fallout from this too.
Mm-hmm. Dan and Vanessa pass through security. Dan is being snarky about the Vanderbilt's wealth and politics. The grandfather swoops in to pull Nate away for a bit. Dan wonders if the Humphreys have a family crest.
I would really like to reach out to listeners to really know what they believe the Humphrey family crest would look like. I would love for someone to design for us the Humphrey family crest and send that to us. I think that is on the front of my mind right now.
Humphrey, is that a Scottish name?
Humphrey, I think, is it British or Scottish? It might be Scottish.
So it's Scottish. They probably do have a family crest somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless Humphrey is Scottish for a profession.
Rufus, the big snooper, goes into Lily's purse looking for cash, but finds the other half of Lily's list.
Is she okay with you going into her purse? Like, is this an acceptable thing? Have you had that conversation? I can go into Robin's purse whenever I want to because we have that established that, oh yeah, it's in my purse. Go ahead. And I still don't do it unless she specifically says it's in my purse, but if I'm like looking for something around the house, if I look in her purse and I'm like, oh, I checked your purse, she would say, okay, no big deal. But I still don't do that without letting her know first.
Yeah. I mean, there's usually stuff in women's purses that I don't want to see.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like pictures of her kids.
Lily doesn't have pictures of her kids.
No, Lily wouldn't have. No, Lily wouldn't have pictures of her kids.
Back at the reception, a drunken Trip tells Vanessa that Nate has an internship at the mayor's office and can no longer go on the backpacking vacation.
And this is where I'm feeling like Vanessa is getting selfish, and where it comes out that
she's a little selfish here.
Yeah, because I get she probably doesn't want to go do this Europe trip alone, but it also kind of reinforces it's not going to happen without Nate. So again, I feel like Nate is going to be the one really financing this trip. But also, here's something that he is suddenly interested in.
Do you have anything else on that?
I'll just close with I feel like Vanessa is being selfish.
Now, I don't know if you caught it, but as Vanessa walks away, there was a lingering shot on Trip, like doing the whole Broadway thing, staring at the camera with like an expression of like, my plan is going exactly as I thought. So was there another deleted scene here? Was there a scheme going on here that we didn't find out about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And I kind of dismissed it because of that, because it didn't seem like anything was really coming through to a whole plan on his part. I don't feel like it was well executed if that was the intention. I also kind of feel like it could have just been, now that you're mentioning the Broadway thing, we know how much Broadway actors struggle with the fourth wall. Yeah. Ryan from the OC.
Nate confesses that he is strongly considering the internship because it is an amazing opportunity. Nate leaves Vanessa, who looks to be on the verge of tears.
Vanessa, you wanted him to reconnect with his family. And this is what reconnecting with a rich and powerful family looks like. I feel like a lot of this should have been predictable. And maybe not losing my summer of fun predictable, but getting wrapped up in the family politics predictable. Like, that is what is going to happen. And maybe there's that part of Nate who knew that's what was going to happen that was also keeping him from wanting to come back. But then once the path is laid out and it's like, here's the super easy thing for you to do. Just go work for the mayor and do whatever they tell you to do.
Yeah.
And because if Nate's good at anything, it's doing what he's told to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she just didn't expect him to kind of control what he's doing.
Yeah. I guess what did you expect?
That they would have family holidays and play football.
Yeah.
Because that's what they talked about.
Yeah. But Vanessa, you see all of this all the time. Like, you see these people that you see it happen to. So I'm not necessarily trying to blame Vanessa, but I blame Vanessa.
Blair continues to drop scandal bombs on unsuspecting society types, but is pulled away by Chuck. Once alone, Blair tries to seduce Chuck, but he doesn't take the bait.
First of all, blowing up all those people's business was fucking great. I'm not mad at that one bit.
Third marriage, DUI. What was it, 5 DUIs?
5 DUIs.
Wow. How do you get 5 DUIs? I guess be rich.
Yeah. 5 DUIs, but you drink so much to deal with the fact that your husband made all of his money in the porn industry.
Big fan of your sites.
Big fan of your sites. I did want to add one thing. When Blair took Chuck, when Chuck took Blair into the other room, Chuck had very strong Faith vibes. Very strong, like if Elijah Dushku was a better actor, it was very reminiscent of that Faith Xander scene. Actually, it's also in the Zeppo when she basically like forces herself on Xander in a very Xander's very happy, willing, and accepting of this. But when she really forces himself on her, I found a big parallel there in how that went down. But
I didn't really know.
I had this like, man, I wish Elijah Dushku was a better actor because Faith would have been so much cooler.
Don't let Buffy fans let you hear that.
Oh my God, I know. I like Elijah Dushku as Faith because she's Faith, and I liked her in Dollhouse because that's what she did. But she's mid. She's mediocre.
Yeah.
Come at me. She might be one of the better actors on the show. But she's mid.
We go to the commercial with another Gossip Girl narration. The danger with calling someone's bluff is that even if you win, you risk them walking away from the table for good. And who wants to play with themselves? Nate finds Blair sitting alone in an unheated room and offers his coat. They reminisce about the past, and I think Blair sort of remembers why she was in love with Nate Archibald.
Uh-oh. But also, this could be a good time for this. I was very much standing the Nate Vanessa thing. I feel like this is a good time for that shakeup and for this Blair Nate shakeup. When he came out and saw her there and gave her the coat, I feel like this was one of the better written scenes. I actually like the back and forth and you like watching the same movies over and over. Do you remember what you told me? I like to know how things turn out. I like how conversational it was.
I like the scene. I do not like where it's going. It's more of Nate going back into that, putting himself back into that corner he was in the first season with his family controlling him. He's stuck in a relationship with Blair, and it was pretty clear that Blair just wants to use him.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I felt like the shakeup is what I liked about it. I think Vanessa just pissed me off this episode.
Serena finds Dan and gives him a nice smack. For about 2 seconds, Dan tries to defend himself, but quickly apologizes for his actions. The scene ends with the pair laughing about the whole thing.
Dan's defenses that he had were... I felt like he really put thought into that prior to this and was like, look, she wasn't my teacher. But Serena being like, it was like 20 feet away from where I was standing. Okay, I'll give you that.
It was a funny scene, but again, I don't like that they're basically equating Dan sleeping with a teacher being just as bad as a teacher sleeping with a student.
No, absolutely.
Like, what is that?
Yes.
Last time they were, Dan's going to get expelled, and it's like, what?
And it is that high-fiving the guys and shaming the women that they sleep with, kind of in that same vein of now, you're the guy who went and did this. But it's like, that teacher was at work.
Yeah.
and in a closet with a kid she was told to stay away from because of the rumors of them fucking.
Lily confronts Rufus about his passive-aggressive attitude. Rufus reveals he found the other half of the list. The pair argue. ESH. Everyone sucks here.
Yeah. My only thing is that I do love when Lily has no time for Rufus's bullshit. What I love her reactions when Rufus says, "Well, it wouldn't be the whole honesty or whatever," and when Lily's like, "Oh, Jesus Christ," when she has that moment, I love that she just never has time for Rufus's passive aggressive bullshit.
I do like that every scene has Lily like kind of lounging out because they're hiding her Kelly's pregnancy.
Yes. It's funny because I didn't notice it in that first episode, in the first episode where you mentioned it, in the one with Jack. And now it is so obvious. The big coat and then walking and standing right behind the counter when she talked to Rufus in the one scene. A lot of counters, a lot of neck up, and a lot of the one that I was really impressive was it's the later scene with her when she's really lounging, and it looks like they have made a costume that is a pillow that so when she's lounging on it, I'm pretty sure that the pillow is actually part of her dress and that she's sitting straight up and down, but they make it look like a lean with the costuming. That was how I saw that outfit.
Vanessa is apologizing to Nate for earlier when they are interrupted by an announcement from the grandfather about Nate's internship. Call your travel agent, kiddies. Looks like Nate Archibald traded in a summer of love for a one-way ticket to his legacy.
This is the point where I felt like Vanessa has spent this episode trying to remind me how much she sucks. I was annoyed with it the whole way.
I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, I was really annoyed.
I was fine with Vanessa this episode. We move into the epilogue. Serena comes home and finds Chuck drinking alone. She urges him to keep fighting for Blair, and he knows what to say.
Vulnerable Chuck.
Back in Brooklyn, Vanessa discusses her relationship status with Dan and Jenny. Dan and Jenny both advise giving Nate space, but that it will work out in the end.
I've dealt with Upper East Side grandparents before.
Which he has.
Yes. Also, so I mentioned it at the top of the show that I thought there was something up with Dan and Vanessa, and I felt like it was reinforced here with them sitting there, him kind of consoling her. I
just got big sibling vibes from all three of them.
I get something. Obviously, there's a shakeup with Vanessa happening, so
we'll see. Rufus returns to the penthouse and apologizes to Lily, and the final Gossip Girl narration begins. Springtime, a season for rebirth and new beginnings. For some, it's a chance to turn over a new leaf. Looks like their issues are resolved for now.
Yeah.
Chuck arrives at the Blair's house, but is once again turned away by Dorota. As Dorota goes back upstairs, Chuck sees something that disturbs him.
Oh, I'm sorry. That previous scene is the one where she had that outfit that I was talking about. When Dorota totally cockblocked Chuck, I was like, Nate is up there. And Robin's like, no, Nate is at his grandfather's. Why would Nate be at the one? Nate's not there. I'm like, Nate is in that room with Blair right now.
We switch to the bedroom where Nate is saying goodbye to Blair after bringing her home. Blair asks Nate to stay.
And I was like, boom. I TV so hard.
For others, it's the surprise of seeing something bloom. We shift back to Chuck, and it is revealed that he saw Nate's coat. J. Miller Tobin ends the episode almost exactly the same way they ended Poison Ivy, with a dramatic, multi-stage pull-out.
Yep.
Exact same shot.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
It's Blair and Serena. Like, they do that. Like,
yeah.
They pull out, it stops, pull out again, and then one more time.
Yeah.
They do the same exact thing here. And we end the episode with, but yours truly, it's a reminder that on the Upper East Side, everything old can be new again. XO, XO, Gossip Girl.
Episode done.
Yeah. Predictions going forward.
Dan and Vanessa. Dan and Vanessa is my biggest prediction. I think that Blair and Nate are not going to last, but I think that they're going to. I think that they're going to have an awkward the morning after, because I think Nate right now is kind of in this, oh, maybe I do want everything that I said I didn't want last season. And I don't deny that Nate's a big flip-flopper. I just think that's Nate.
Well, what big event have we not got to that's traditional for the end of senior year?
Senior trip, prom. We got prom coming up. Okay. We've got prom. We've got...
I don't see Chuck as a prom guy.
No.
But Nate's definitely a prom.
Nate is a prom guy for sure. Yep.
And, you say Dan and Vanessa, but
he's going to go with Serena.
Vanessa has had sparks with someone else this season.
Vanessa has had sparks with someone other than Dan and other than Nate. No. Because she's not going, no. Well, maybe.
I'd rather that than Dan.
Yep. Facts.
So that is it for our episode. Let's get into some segments. We jump into the Wayback Machine to visit the Television Without Pity forums from 2009.
Hello there, Peabody here. And this is the Wayback Machine for traveling through time. And this is my boy, Sherman. Speak, Sherman. Hello. Good boy.
They were definitely glad Miss Carr and the Eyes Wide Shut storylines are over.
Mm-hmm.
Very bored of Rufus and Lily. They, with the will they or won't they, people watch for the teens, not the parents.
Yeah, that whole storyline about them, their role in this show now should be more about their relationship with their kids than their relationship with each other. They're together.
Yeah.
We're good with this. Don't give them teenage drama to shake up their thing. Just let them fucking be.
Surprising praise for Dan's witty pretentiousness. Normally they don't like Dan being pretentious.
Yeah, but he was hilarious. Funny. He was,
and again, I think it was kind of just improv.
Yeah. That scans.
Where's Eric?
I mean, where is Eric half the time?
Not a lot of sympathy for Chuck at this point.
Chuck did go chasing down a hooker while his love of his life apparently was spiraling.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really, and I very seldom have any sympathy for Chuck.
And then finally, Nair are cute, but can't match the chemistry of Chair.
Yeah.
The scene is cute, but they just don't really have much chemistry.
Yeah, that's true too.
Let's go ahead and move into some episode grades. What do you got, Steve?
I went C+ on this one. I thought it was an okay episode. I hated the Rufus and Lily storyline. I thought the Blair stuff was okay. I didn't think it was well written, like we had talked about. I thought there was a few moments where I was like, oh, I think that this was a nice bit of dialogue. But for the most part, I didn't think it was very well written. So yeah, I went C+.
I didn't go quite that low. I thought the directing was very good in this episode. The acting was good. The writing was hit or miss in a couple scenes, but overall, I liked it. So I give it a B.
Fair.
Moving over to Stockwatch, who you got going up?
I have Nate going up. Nate has all these things. He's going to be interning for the mayor. I mean, good job, Nate. I have grandfather going up. He got his grandson back, and grandfather, who is only ever referred to as grandfather, is also has his family back in line going the way he wants it to. And I'm going to give Dan an up because Dan was fun this episode. I don't think he really went anywhere, but he was witty and fun. So I'm going to give him the up.
This is one was a tough one for me. I did consider Dan because he was witty, but then he also got slapped, so I kept him at neutral.
Yeah, that's fair too.
So the only two I had going up were Dorota because she was loyal and awesome as usual.
Fuck, I want to add Dorota to mine. Yes,
and then the grandfather for the same reasons you said. He got everything he wanted.
Yeah.
Who do you have going down?
Blair for spiraling. I have Vanessa going down for setting all of that up and only to lose everything she wanted. And then I have Carter going down for getting one up by Serena. And those are my downs.
For me, I had Blair because she's continues to spiral. Chuck because he got dissed by Carter and didn't really do much. Also losing out to Nate, it looks like. Carter because he got kicked out of town. Vanessa for losing Nate. Nate for just being a dumbass and getting led by his family and being kind of a slut. I mean, Vanessa wasn't even totally sure they broke up and he's already hooking up with Blair.
Yeah.
And then Lily, because she brought that whole mess on herself.
Oh, well, that's fair, too. I do want to add Chuck to mine because I kind of had him at neutral, but now, yeah, he fucking lost.
He got punked by Carter and
by Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the best outfits from the last episode we've seen.
Best outfit, who do you got?
Chuck's suit. With the pink collar. And, yeah, I dug that. For
me, it was, I'm going to have to just change this to the best Blair Waldorf outfit award because Blair's Hervé Leger bandage dress was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Is that the blue one or
the blue and white one? The one she was trying to seduce Chuck in.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that was on my list, and I was like, I'm going to go with Chuck's suit, but I was looking at that too.
You got anything to plug this week?
At this moment, I believe this Wednesday, it's either this Wednesday or next Wednesday, I will be at Dawson Street for the open mic. I will be the featured act. So come on out to the open mic, come play some music, and I'll be the featured act.
For me, by now, my episode of Farm to Fable should be released. That's the Farm to Fable podcast recapping Smallville. I am on episode 7 of season 8, so check that out. And then if you want to follow me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky, Hot Capicola, HOTCAPICOLA. And you can find the podcast on most social media at Non-Judging Breakfast Pod. That's on Threads, TikTok, Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook, where we have both a group and a page. And if you want to check out our Patreon or Discord, just go visit the links on our website, nonjudgingbreakfastpod.com.
And if you want to send us an email or get in touch with us or have something you want to tell us, or send us a crest for the Humphrey family, you can send us an email at nonjudgingbreakfastpod@gmail.com. And we would love to hear what you have to say and maybe even read it on the episode. And while you're at it, if you could give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, and leave a comment, that really helps with our visibility in Apple Podcasts. And if you could tell a friend what you are listening to, that also really helps out. Help us build this community of Gossip Girl fans.
Mm-hmm. And we will be back next week to talk about Season 2, Episode 20, Remains of the J. The Netflix episode description reads, Serena throws Jenny a party for her 16th birthday, but things get out of control when Poppy Lifton turns the small gathering into a huge social event.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Poppy.
But glad we got Jenny back in the main storyline.
Poppy is Serena's friend.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking Agnes. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to have Jenny back.
In the spotlight.
We've been missing her.
Until next time, you know you love us.
XOXO. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Oh, it seems I'm walking right to your door. My heart's still resting, looking for something more. Are you ever gonna see everything you mean to me? I'm trying really hard to believe. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away, run away, you take a piece of me with you there. away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Never feels right when I'm out here on my own. I left last night and it feels like way too long. Are you ever gonna see everything you mean to me? I'm trying really hard to believe. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Come back to me. Smile and you'll make my life complete. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with you there. Every time you walk away or run away, you take a piece of me with